Hi, my name is Tim Tang, and today's passage comes from Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. What does it mean for a husband to love his wife as Christ loved the church? Consider these three ideas: strength, service, and sacrifice. Strength. As many husbands are physically stronger than their wives, an easy place to start is to make our strength available to our wives. Carry the heavy burdens of day to day life, especially the trash. Service. In Matthew chapter 20, verse 25 to 28, it describes a situation where the disciples were arguing about who would be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. It reads, Jesus called them together and said, You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. In God's economy, the greatest serve others. Husbands are called to follow Christ's example and serve their wives. A very practical way is to simply work off all the items on the honey to-do list. When it comes to spiritual growth, sometimes we don't need to know more scripture, but rather we need to do more with the scripture that we already know. And then finally, sacrifice. Christ's love for his church is most clearly demonstrated in his willingness to suffer a horrible crucifixion on her behalf, to meet our greatest needs. He gave completely of himself so that we might be reconciled with God. How might husbands similarly sacrifice for their wives? We learn to die to ourselves, to our own wants and desires. The higher the cost, the more meaningful the sacrifice, and the greater the demonstration of love. We seek what is best for our wives over what we want for ourselves. This is a high calling that comes directly from God Himself. We must continue to do this in order to demonstrate to the world how Christ loves His church.